A few points before we start. Firstly, I am not the protagonist of this story. I just went to university with her, and though she went on to become a professional writer, I most certainly did not. She'll be taking over from me further down, but until then, please forgive my slightly awkward delivery while I give you guys the necessary context. Secondly, I don't really know what you'll make of the following events, and I'm sure some of you might consider it all some sort of hoax. I wasn't present for what transpired in Phoenix, Arizona, but I can vouch for the person who wrote the following logs. She is not, and has never been, a fantasist. Okay, so I once knew a girl called Alice Sharman. She was an undergrad at Edinburgh Uni at the same time I was. My educational poison was history, a degree which greatly benefited my career as a bicycle repairman. Alice Sharman, though, studied journalism, though perhaps studied isn't the word. It's not an exaggeration to say that she lived and breathed the subject. Editor-in-chief of the campus paper, recognizable voice in the student radio. She was frustratingly tunnel-visioned, and she was a journalist in her own right, even before anyone gave her a professional shot. We met in the student halls and became friends almost immediately. A meandering waster trying to stay off his parents' farm and an intrepid, ambitious reporter may not seem like the most obvious pairing, but I learned not to question it. She was inspiring and smart, and she proofread all my essays. I'm not too sure what she saw in me. We were eventually flatmates down in London, where she chased her dream and I chased my tail. She got a few jobs here and there, but nothing really befitting of her skills. After months of fruitless internships and rejections, Alice called a flat meeting, telling us she was moving to America, accepting a position chasing stories for the National Public Radio. The job had come out of the blue, and the result of a Hail Mary application that she thought had been dismissed out of hand. We threw her a bittersweet going-away party and put the room up for rent. That party was the last time I saw Alice Sharman. She dropped out of contact a few months after her departure. Complete radio silence. I assumed she was just busy, so I carried on with my small but happy life and waited for her to pop up on television with some important words below her name. Chief correspondent, senior analyst, something like that. The radio silence was broken last week, and for reasons you'll glean further down, I'm less than happy about it than I would have thought. Arriving home from work, I found a little lone email in my otherwise bare inbox. An email that would later be described as suspicious by my tech-literate friends. Despite being born in the early 1990s, I didn't actually own a computer until uni, and I've missed several important lessons in the world of cyberspace. Lessons like, don't call it cyberspace, and, more importantly, don't open emails with no text, no subject, and no sender's address. I realized most of you would have deleted this anonymous blank email immediately. My friends certainly would have, but beyond my basic ignorance about online safety, something further compelled me to open it. The only thing of substance in the entire message was a zipped folder. It was labeled left.right.as. I don't have to explain what I was hoping those final initials stood for. Opening the zipped folder, I found myself staring at a stack of text files, each one titled with a date, continuing sequentially from the very earliest file, the 7th of the 2nd, 2017. To many Americans in the room, that's the 7th of February. I've since read the files a few times and shown them to some friends. They don't know what to make of it either, but they certainly aren't as concerned as me. They think Alice is just in a creative writing phase, and if I didn't know her, I'd have to agree. But the thing is, I do know her. Alice Sharman only cares about the truth, and if that's the case of these files, insane as it may sound, then it's very possible my friend has documented her own disappearance. The people who suggested this forum said you discuss strange occurrences and etc. If you guys have come across anything to do with the Below or know any of the people involved, then please send any information my way. Has anyone here heard of the left-right game?
They say great stories happen to those who can tell them. Robert J. Guthard is an exception to that rule. As I sit at his table, sip his coffee, and listen to him recount the past 65 years, it sounds like he's reading off a shopping list. Every event, his first job, his second wedding, his third divorce, none of them receive more than 1 or 2 sentences. Rob plows through the years, the curt, dispassionate curator of his own personal history. Yet the story itself is so fascinating, so rich with moments and so wildly meandering that it somehow stands on its own merits. It's a great story, no matter how you tell it. By the time Rob was 21, he'd gotten married, had a son, worked as a farmer, a mover, a boat engineer, and grown estranged from his spouse. Here's him talking about that.
Of course, my wife started to get dissatisfied. I was away a while.
For work?
Vietnam.
You were in Vietnam. How was that for you?
I ain't never been back since.
That was everything he had to say concerning his first divorce and the entire Vietnam War. Rob had 4 marriages after that, and even more professions. After the war, he worked with a firm of private detectives, got shot at once by the mob, then he became a courier, which is how a poor boy from Alabama got to see the world. He'd been arrested once in Singapore, after one of his packages had been found to be full of white powder. He spent 3 days locked up before someone got around to checking the substance. It was chalk. A friend he made during his brief custody, Hiroji Sato, invited Rob to stay with him in Japan. Just getting over the breakup of his 3rd marriage, Rob took the offer. He stayed in Japan for another 5 years.
The Japanese are good people. Good manners. But they got all these urban legends and ghost stories that Hiroji was crazy for. Spent all this free time chasing them down. Like, you heard of Jirogumo?
I don't think so.
Well, she's this spider lady. Lives in the Joro Falls around Izu. Meant to be real pretty, but real dangerous. Hiroji took us out there to get a picture of her.
Did you ever meet Jirogumo?
Nah, she didn't show. None of them did. I didn't believe it all until we went to Aokigahara.
Aokigahara, affectionately titled the Suicide Forest, the next stop on Rob's adventure. It's an area of woodland at the base of Mount Fuji, a notorious hotspot for young people looking to take their own lives. Hiroji, Rob's ghost-obsessed jailmate turned best friend, took him to Aokigahara to chase Yurai, the ghosts of the forest. Did you find anything in Aokigahara?
Well, I ain't gonna ask you to believe me, but I was a PI. Professional cynic. Even I can't deny there was a spirit in those woods.
From that moment on, Rob's sentences start getting longer. A childlike excitement creeps into his voice. I get the distinct feeling we're moving beyond background, beyond Rob Guthard's old life, and towards his new one. The one he wants to talk about. The one that led him to contact the show.
It walked up to me, through the trees. Looked like static you see on a TV screen, but it had a human shape, almost.
Almost?
It was missing an arm. It reached out to me, but I bolted out of that forest so fast. Hiroji never saw it. Holds it against me to this day.
Hiroji had good reason to be annoyed. Rob says that Mr. Sato had been going to the forest 2 to 3 times per year for 3 decades. To have a rookie come along and claim to have seen a Uri on his first trip, I'd be more than a little cranky. But Rob didn't stay a rookie for long. In fact, it was in those woods that he discovered his current passion. The supernatural, or more accurately, the documentation and investigation of urban legends. Legends like Bloody Mary, the Jersey Devil, Sasquatch. Rob has looked into them all.
I figured if one was true, then who knows how many others could be.
How many have you proven so far?
Since Aokigahara, ain't none of them had any proof to them, except for one. That's why I called you guys up.
At this point, Rob can't help to repress his smile. The left-right game appeared on a paranormal message board in June 2016. Only a few people frequently visited the forum, and of those regulars, only Rob took an interest in the post.
The whole thing had a level of detail you don't see in other stories.
What details grabbed your interest?
Logs, high-quality pictures. The guy documented everything. Said he wasn't going to play the game anymore. I think he wanted somebody to keep investigating.
And you were that somebody.
That's right. I set about trying to verify his information right away.
And how did it go?
Well, didn't take long to realize the left-right game is the real thing.
The rules of the left-right game are simple. Get in your car and take a drive. Take a left and then the next possible road on the right, then the next possible left. Repeat the process ad infinitum until you wind up somewhere new. The rules are easy to understand, but Rob says they're not so easy to follow.
There ain't all that many roads where you can turn left and right and keep going. Most of the time you find yourself at a dead end or needing to turn in the wrong direction. Phoenix is built on a grid system, so you can keep going left and right as long as you need to.
Did you move to Phoenix for the left-right game?
That's right.
I try not to seem incredulous. Selling your house in another state, packing up, and moving your whole life to Phoenix, Arizona, just to play a game you saw on the internet? It seems like insanity. Rob smiles as he reads my expression. I can clearly read his expression, too. You'll see, it says. Just wait. I wouldn't have to wait long. Included within the 9-page submission Rob sent our show was a long list of suggested items the chosen reporter would bring with them. Clothes for 3 days, a pocket knife, matches, bandages. There was also a set of qualifications the reporter should have: the ability to drive, basic vehicle maintenance, and its human equivalent, first aid training. He didn't just want to talk about the left-right game. He wanted to take one of us along. Rob leaves a short while later to embark on a few errands, prepping the run, as he calls it. He shows me to the guest room and we part ways, on good terms but very much aware of the other's poorly veiled opinions. He knew I saw him as a charming obsessive, chasing after a fairy tale, and he saw me as a naive cynic on the cusp of a new world. All I could think as I heard the front door close is that by tomorrow afternoon, one of us would be right. More after this.